Welcome back to the Fanspeak Network and another episode of Sibling Showdown. That's right, every single Wednesday. I draft with my brother, Steve. We draft a BBM5 draft, and we're going to do that in just 1 minute. That's right. It's Wednesday. It's another Sibling Showdown, a BBM5 live draft. I'm Meg. You can find me at Meg's08DFS, and of course, joined by my brother Steve at Steve-O-Speak. Steve, how are the BBM5, but also just the best ball streets? I know you're in a ton of slows treating you this week.
Yeah, no, Underdog just did the two puppies, the fast and the slow. Did some fast, but did a ton of slows. Doing the weekly winners, doing the marathons, the eliminators, all those mainly on slows, and then actually did a couple of the college football ones they just launched.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm not as big of a college football girl, so I don't know that I'll do those, but I think that's awesome.
No, it's exciting. Just shows the continuation of best ball in general, and Underdog and all their how they're growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, if you're coming in, be sure to like this episode, subscribe to the Fanspeak Network. We are doing 4 to 5 live drafts a week. We've got strategy shows up. I know Justin and Andrew just taped a strategy show. Steve and I will be putting up a strategy show. We got all covered. And then, of course, check out all our articles on fanspeak.com, all free, 100% free rankings. Articles, we got hubs for the different articles, so it's organized, and they're going to be coming quickly all summer long, more and more each and every week, and we'll organize that into the hub. So check out the Best Ball headquarters, all free articles on fanspeak.com. And before we get started, I've got to mention our partners. Our exclusive tools partner is bestballoverlay.com. You'll see it when we get in the draft. It has the overlay. It helps us make decisions with correlation, bringbacks, see our exposures. And of course, then you can use other features to manage your portfolio, which I am super excited about. I had a busy morning, so I was hoping to re-upload my new CSV with a few more drafts in the books, but unfortunately did not have time to get that done. So we're still working with that, but it's super easy to upload your new CSV, right, Steve?
Yeah.
So super easy to upload your new CSV and keep up with your exposures. So I will do that for future shows. And speaking of future shows, I'll be on with Justin tomorrow night at 9:30. Andrew's on vacation this week. And then I have Friday at 6 p.m. Jim Waller, the winner of the Pitbull, the $75 Pitbull last year, lives right here in Baltimore, good old Baltimore, Maryland. So Jim Waller, winner of the Pitbull, my friend of Best Ball, 6 p.m. on Friday. So that's what we got coming up on the channel. Anything else you can think of, Steve? I'm going to bring up Underdog now, and we can look to jump into a draft.
No, just, it'll be interesting to see as we hit with training camps starting. I think we're going to be getting more and more contests. Underdog's been releasing 2 or 3 a week. And I think they're going to keep going. Why would they?
Exactly. Hope they keep those. I talk about every week, obsessed with those like great advance rate tournaments. And I hope they keep firing those because I'm a little bit of advance rate snob. The puppy was 1 of 10 after in quarterfinals. I've gotten spoiled with these like 1 of 6, right?
Yeah.
What is it for the college football one? Because I know that's like their flagship one.
2 of 12 obviously start, and then it's like 2 of 10, 2 of 8, I think.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, then that's good. Yeah, that's really good then. Okay, so if you would like to jump into a BBM5 with us, we are going to be jumping in 1 second. I'll do a quick countdown if you'd like to join us in 3, 2, 1. I am hitting enter. We'll see if it works. It worked. We are waiting on 8. So that's good because that will allow some people to join. So if you want to join us, but yeah, there could be a lot of people ripping puppies right now. So
yeah, no. And, I think as we've seen, when they do launch these other products, it takes a little longer for these BBMs to fill.
Yeah.
But they're still filling at a pretty quick rate.
Okay. So So our good friend Tyler has taught me how to adjust the screen size. So I'm going to be messing with that. May not be perfect this first time, but I'll do my best here. So you can just tell me how to adjust it as we go. So anyways, but we are waiting on 6 people still. And then we will get rolling. Obviously, the big news yesterday was Ayuk formally requested a trade, but of course, that doesn't mean he's going to get it. So, obviously, we're in a wait and hold pattern. Ironically, then Ricky Parasol goes on the NIF list or whatever. I mean, I don't think there was any reports of anything serious, so I'm not going to overreact to that. Of course, we had the Jordan Addison DUI news this week. TBD if there's any suspension there. And of course, the Nick Chubb lifting like a gazillion pounds video. So are you kind of in a holding standpoint for waiting on any more big news, Steve? Or are you doing any big adjustments to those?
Yeah. So I definitely bumped down Ayuk slightly. Didn't really bump up Debo. I already had him above Ayuk and above the field anyways. I did bump up Kittle a few spots. I bumped up both Ricky Parasol and Jawan Jennings. The injury news on Parasol, we'll have to see what that is, obviously. And I did bump down Addison a little bit because there is a likelihood of some sort of suspension. But the Ayuk thing is, I'd still say odds are he doesn't end up getting dealt. As Jeff just said, I mean, that was right before the draft, and that's the perfect time when you would trade him. Because you could have determined everything, where now anything the 49ers trade him for, it's future assets. So I just, even though they kind of prepped with getting Parasol and re-signing Jawan Jennings, I just think that they're going to find a way to keep Ayuk in the fold for this year and deal with it next year.
Yeah. What did I do? Okay. We are still waiting on 3. As you can see, just want to show you that you can see it is starting in a minute. The overlay and the best ball overlay is basically showing you that correlation when you start adding, obviously, drafting players. But it shows your exposures, which again, I'm not fully updated, but will be before the next show. But shows you those correlations that you can see for week 15. I have it for week 15, 16, 17. May just change it to 16, 17 to make it a little easier. But I mean, it shows the totals of the games. So really interesting stuff for the best ball overlay. It's bestballoverlay.com if you're interested, and use code Fanspeak, and it's 33% off. It goes from 30 a month to 20 months, so $10 off a month, $20 a month. And that is less than a BBM5 entry to essentially help really manage your portfolio and make good decisions. Let me see if I can adjust the draft board so we see everybody nicely here. And then we'll get rolling, look and see who's in the draft with us. Looks like we're on the 11th spot. Draft is starting. CeeDee Lamb goes first. Just give me a minute to adjust here. Okay, so now we'll be able to see more of the board as it goes. So we have in the draft with us, I actually don't recognize any of the names. Do you, Steve?
No name jumps out, that's for sure.
Okay. So we're in the 11th spot. Don't love that. He's the Michael Scott gift. Yeah. 11, 12 has not been my favorite. I'm trying to change it up a bit, just to not do the same exact thing at the 11, 12 spot. We'll try to be cautious of that. And I will bring over in another window the portfolio optimizer of Best Ball Overlay, which has certainly helped me watch my combinations, because again, when you're at the turn, it's really easy to do the same thing, especially before training camp and preseason shifts, ADPs even more. It's really easy to be tempted to do the exact same thing. And so I'm trying to be cautious of that, especially since I do have a lot of Garrett Wilson here at the end of the draft. I like to just kind of pay attention to that. So I pulled that up in another window, and
we'll get one of the Jets players. Well, Garrett Wilson's still there.
Oh, okay. I'm having issues here. Sorry. Okay. Do you want me to do Garrett Wilson? Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a crap load of Garrett Wilson, but he is my favorite player. So
yeah.
Okay. When you said one of the Jets players, Breece Hall went.
When I saw Puka Nacua go off, I knew it was either Hall or Wilson.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, since we're coming right back up, I don't know if I'll be able to see this quickly, but I do have a good bit of Drake London, even though I have.
Do you want to go Jahmyr Gibbs?
Yeah, with the fall, I'm fine with that. Okay, so we go, and I actually don't think I have as much of Garrett Wilson Gibbs. That's the, sorry, getting used to the screen sizing, so bear with me, and I appreciate the patience. Let's see here. How's that, Steve? Can you see that pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So I have I pulled up my Garrett Wilson, and of my 16 teams and I only have 80 plugged in here, I believe, that I have Garrett Wilson. I did have 25% of those teams had Drake London, and let's see how much had Gibbs. Well, I can search for it here. 12% had Gibbs. So yeah, was London even there?
No, London went at the turn.
Okay. So we'll look at the board now. I mean, pretty much what you expect. Bijan went a little later at 8.
Yeah.
And Breece going at 10. Usually you see that more like 6 and 8, 6 and 9, something like that. But other than that, nothing too crazy. Yeah, bummer that none of our favorites got in with us here in this draft, because I do not recognize any names in this particular draft. Okay. All right. Any other thoughts, Steve?
Yeah. So I think Wilson Gibbs is an interesting combo. I do like getting a running back in the first couple rounds, whether this is going to be the only one, whether we get a second one in the next round or two. It's just the value that you're getting. And I do think Gibbs, while he is more of a split backfield, so is Devon at Chain. It's just a high powered offense, and he can just really, really smash. I mean, we saw that at certain times down the stretch last year. So, and if Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are in a good position, I think we're looking good there. And then the other kind of interesting thing I like about it is, as the 3-4 turn at the back end of the draft is, to me, one of the worst.
Yeah.
Receivers I don't like. You can go tight end, you can go quarterback,
which I do have a good bit of with Garrett Wilson, Allen, and Hurts, because it's
So I mean, we could look at that, but I think because we took one of each, we could double up a running back if somebody's fallen there. We could take 2 receivers and maybe reach for a guy. We maybe could go a tight end to get an elite tight end. I feel like if we'd taken two running backs or 2 receivers, we would have been more boxed in and having to do something.
Right. Yeah. So obviously it is wild that Saquon Barkley went to pick 30.
Yeah.
Henry at 32. We're about up, and we will have 2 picks. So not my favorite area here, especially when none of the running backs fall. And wow, Pacheco goes early, probably for the reason that we're talking about here. This is just, I do not like I don't know. I mean, we could do something with the quarterbacks, or I'll let you choose.
I like Pickens. I like George Pickens.
I mean, I'm higher in Tank Dell than you, but I have a good bit at this point with him. But we're up in 2, so we need to make a decision. Do we do elite tight end?
I would go elite tight end. I think getting Travis Kelce in the 4th round is a steal.
We don't agree on that, but as you can see by my 1%. So you don't want to go. I mean, I don't have that much Allen and Hurts with him.
I like Allen. I like Allen more than Hurts because you can easily stack him still.
You've got the correlation too. You've got the week 17 correlation.
Yeah, and that part's true as well.
Which I've done some, and actually I'll look and see what I have with Allen and Garrett Wilson, so I don't just do the exact same thing. So that's the beautiful thing about Best Ball Overlay. Check it out, bestballoverlay.com. Code Fanspeak gets you $10 off each month. So it's just $20 a month, and I highly recommend it for doing things like I'm doing right now. I have a lot of Garrett Wilson teams. Garrett Wilson is one of my favorite picks late in the 1st round. So when I do that, what do I do a lot? Well, I do a lot of Drake London. Only had 12% gives with that, so I like that. Did have some Allen and Hurts, but not overwhelmingly like all of them. So I like Allen better than Kelce, so we did Allen. And so I'm looking at the combination of Garrett Wilson and Allen and what that does to who else I'm drafting. And basically looking at anything, there's only 3 teams. The guys that are 100% on all of those teams outside of Garrett Wilson and Allen are Roman Wilson, and not even Dalton Kincaid, nothing else. Everybody else is just a share or 2. So really we can do anything other than maybe not Roman Wilson later.
Well, just curious, do you already have a Gibbs Allen?
Oh yeah, that's the beauty. I mean, again, not only can you just check the stack or check the first couple players or whatever, the quarterback and the top player, you can check as many players together to check and see. So let me see. And the answer is no. So that's pretty cool.
So it's like but it's like, no matter what, this becomes a unique build for you.
Yeah. This is new. This is new for me. And outside of Roman Wilson, there's nobody that I've drafted on all 3 of my prior, again, 3 out of 80. A lot of slows are finishing up right now. So I actually, after the live drafts this week, probably a couple fast this week, and my slows finishing up, I'll probably be at over 100 by the end of the week, but I'm not, a lot of slows are in progress. So don't have that data until those complete. But yeah, to my, as of the ones completed, only 3 Garrett Wilson Allen teams. And kind of world's our oyster here, Steve, as to what we want to do next. But yeah, I know you and I do not like the end of the 3-4 turn. But I've heard a lot of people talk about that's why, that is a great place to go elite tight end or elite quarterback. Yeah. So I'm happy we did that.
That's what I do a lot, because it's just the receivers are relatively underwhelming, and typically you either reaching for Pacheco like the guy in front of us did, or you're hoping sometimes like a Henry or Williams has fallen, but very rarely now.
So Kincaid goes, didn't expect him to come back as predicted. There was, the run on quarterbacks in round 4 and tight ends. So we, it goes after we took Allen, it went Hurts, Mahomes, Lamar, and then of course Laporta, Kelce, Andrews, McBride. Kincaid goes, didn't think he'd come back to us. So we'll be up at 59 and 62 at the turn. And I'll pull up the board in just 1 minute. Okay. So with a 1-1-2, and at 59 and 62, I know there's a lot of guys you and I like here. So I'm queuing up, and you can tell by my percentages I like them. 16% Josh Jacobs, 23% Calvin Ridley. Again, we do not have this combination of the first 3 of. I do not have the combination of the first 3 Allen, Gibbs, and Wilson, so I'm comfortable with anything here. So what are you liking here Steve, at this turn?
Probably Jacobs first.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both. That was the other. Okay, sorry. We were up in 1 and they took Ridley, who I absolutely love, obviously, based on my 23%. We're going to take Jacobs. We're up in 2. I will also throw out, I was going to say Kyle Pitts, but to get a later, because with Allen, if you want to do 3, I like to do like 2 later ones. And I was going to say Cousins, but same buy. Pitts goes anyways. We've got Chris Godwin. I think we need to focus on receiver now. Worthy. I'd say Hopkins.
I would take Hopkins, yeah.
Yeah, you and I love the Tennessee offense. So let's get Hopkins there. So we start 1, 2, 3. Allen, Gibbs, Jacobs, Garrett Wilson, Pickens, Hopkins. I know a lot of people would say, this is kind of like a modified double anchor. And that's another great thing. Let me pull over the board and then I'll finish my thought. And then I know you have some thoughts on this too, is hold on one quick second here. Can you see that okay? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Still getting used to that. Bear with me. Thanks for your all's patience. Another great thing about Best Ball Overlay, when you pull up the portfolio optimizer, you can see the types of builds you've done with the anchoring of each position. So it'll show the top player drafted a quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, and they'll show what it is. Hero RB, and double anchor RB, a modified double anchor RB. So this is what that would probably be, assuming Josh Jacobs is considered that like modified double anchor. I don't mind double hero and modified double hero right now at all, because right now we're getting such insane value on these running backs. And I know, yes, you can't follow behind a receiver. And so far we've taken 2 detours, but we still got 3 receivers by round 6. And again, I talk about this every week. I just talked about on a CBS show I did. As long as you stick with 3 receivers by 6, 4 by 7, 5 by 9, or somewhere close to that, you shouldn't get too buried under the avalanche that you can do this, and you can still do the double hero or modified double hero, whatever you want to call it. And I like that a lot. I mean, honestly, I've been experimenting with some hyper fragile this time of year, because next month is the month. August is the month when I'm going to lean into, and I'm sure you as well, more of the zero RB, more of these like taking shots on these RB2s later in drafts. I just don't have the confidence level to say that I want, help me name all these rookies, but like, Kamani Vidal and who's the Tampa one that I know people are interested in?
Irving or
Bucky Irving,
Ray
Davis. Exactly. Like, I need camp news. I just, one thing that Mike Leone's, not one thing, his Best Ball Manifesto provides a lot of great data and information on established the run, but taking zeros is bad. And obviously we have no control if taking a 0 because of due to an injury, but you don't want to take just a stone 0 because you had too much faith in a guy early. And quite honestly, I had too much faith in some running backs that weren't even late round running backs last year, like Rashad Penny and who's the guy from New Orleans? Steve, help me remember.
Jamal Williams,
who was like a hero the year before for the Lions. So, I had too much faith in some of these running backs that were like even more mid rounds, not even like last few rounds. So I'm going to hammer that strategy in August and later in August. And until then, I really am actually very comfortable with my anchor or double anchor, even some hyper fragile running back builds. What are your thoughts before we get up to our pick?
Yeah, no, it's just, again, the running backs produce the most points.
Especially in half-point PPR.
In half-point PPR, there's fewer of them than there are receivers. Yes, you can get lucky and hit on the late-round guys that hit, but the same can be true with some receivers. I mean, we saw it last year with the Tank Dells and the Puka Nakuas and, even not guys who hit to that extreme, but guys who are just consistent, solid scorers last year. So I just think that you still need some top end elite guys, and we got that. I mean, Garrett Wilson has been very good already.
George Pickens, DeAndre Hopkins, yeah.
And I mean, these guys are getting the best quarterbacks they've had Hopkins used to have great quarterbacks, but they're getting all upgrades on quarterback system, usage. Even Hopkins splitting time with Ridley could see more balls than he did a year ago, just because that team's going to throw more.
Yeah. I'm going to throw out a couple names to you here for the next 2 picks. Ferguson, potentially if Dak falls, it allows you to pick up that. And then Sutton and Palmer, allow some back stacks and to get that 4th receiver by 7. So thoughts here. We have 2 picks in the next 4 picks.
I probably wouldn't go Ferguson just because I feel like that's going to be a late fall.
Okay, quick.
So I'd go Sutton.
Okay. Wait, what about a late fall?
Your Dak to fall past 86.
Oh, he does those sometimes. It's crazy.
Sometimes, but it'd be like what 104 or something like that.
I mean, I don't mind saying up the Herbert, but I don't mind just getting an elite tight end without.
Okay. I mean, I like either Kamara or Connor here is like a good 3rd running back.
I like Connor, but I mean, I love the running back situation too, but I'm not on Kamara like you are, and I have a ton of Connor. So could you pick between Ferguson and Palmer quickly?
Go Ferguson.
Okay, good. Thank you. And again, I just talked about that I was totally comfortable with like going, but I think, 3 running backs through that would have been 3 through 8. I'm fine with that. I'm more like I definitely like the 2 through 5 because you're getting insane value. And I do sometimes do the 3 through 8 when I can get like the ones that I feel really, really good about, like the David Montgomery, Najee Harris. But when we're getting like that step below, you're higher on Kamara than I am. I'm just not as in on him for various reasons this year. But I do like Connor, but I think you're kind of reaching there. And I also have a crap load of Connor. So it was more like a situation of that. I need more Ferguson. And every now and then you will see Dak fall to like when it was like the back half. It's very rare. Usually he's going to go here where the Lamb drafter.
Yeah.
But let's see. Yeah, the Lamb drafter didn't take wait, no, I was looking at the wrong one. Lamb went 1. So yeah, Lamb didn't take. So they'll take Dak most likely. But especially if they do take a elite quarterback up in the first 5 rounds, then sometimes you'll see Dak fall, and then the other people that don't have a Dak stack will let him fall. So I don't mind that. I should have looked ahead to see that the Lamb drafter didn't have that. But honestly, I just need more Ferguson. I mean, just getting a tight end on the top offense. To me, that's kind of where the tier break happens in this, like, as far as like elite tight ends. We missed out on like some of my favorites, like Kittle, Pitts, like where it's still value, but they're still elite tight ends in my mind. But I still feel like Evan Ingram, I know Brock Bowers TBD, but I'm trying to take more of him. Jake Ferguson, I'm still trying to take some of these guys to get more of them as well. Yeah,
and the interesting thing with Ferguson obviously is, Dallas offense. Dak threw the most touchdowns in the league last year. Ferguson only got, I believe, 6 of those. What if he gets 8, 9, 10? Easily could. He had over 100 targets last year.
Yeah.
That's more targets than Kittle had. That's more targets than Mark Andrews typically has. Like that easily could break his way where he puts up a double-digit touchdown year and he's just tight end 3 on the year.
Right. Absolutely. Sorry, I was looking at the portfolio optimizer. So let me pull over. The other running backs did go later. Went right after us. It did go Kamara, Aaron Jones, Pollard. I love all these running backs. I mean, I'm trying. Yeah. I'm fine to your point, as long as I get that like 5th by 9. So we got 4 by 7, 3 by 6, 4 by 7. If we got 5 by 9, I would have been fine with that. It's just it was a matter, I think, that I really did want Ferguson. And oh my God, they did not take Dak.
Yeah, but
so there is a chance. That Dak.
Unfortunately, Curtis Samuel just went, so we only have 1 out left for Josh Allen.
Oh shit, I forgot about that too. I was
because Keon Coleman already went, and so I was going to say we're probably have to take Curtis Samuel with one of these 2 picks. Now we almost have to reach for Shakir, which kind of goes at the 110 anyways, but hopefully nobody reaches for him.
So. Okay, holding my breath. Honestly, Allen is absolutely a quarterback that yes, of course, I'm trying to correlate, but I'm not like hyper.
Sure, you ran for 15 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, exactly. You said my point perfectly. To get a falling Dak, Let's see, how many receivers does this guy have? I mean, he hammered receivers early. Probably just depends where he has Shakir ranked.
Yeah.
So yeah, really. So because there is, of course, the running quarterbacks now.
Caleb Williams went ahead of Dak. Maybe they have DJ Moore.
I'm sure they have a correlation somewhere.
Rome Dunze.
Yeah, Rome. Yeah. Well, the one spot is just because I thought for sure because they built out the Dak Devonta, or CeeDee Lamb Devonta. Oh shit, we're up.
Dak.
I'm taking Dak. I'm sorry. We can get Shakir. If Shakir doesn't fall, we get a naked Josh Allen. I don't care. I'm sorry. A Josh Allen, and I'll cue Shakir up. Hopefully he doesn't take him. If not, it's a naked Josh Allen team. Don't care. I just tabbed it, Josh Allen and Dak. And this is maybe one of the few times I do a 2 QB build, but the falling value to get Dak a whole round later is just absolutely insane, correlated with Ferguson, and we got Shakir to fall to us. Oh baby, let's go.
Did that work out?
We got a Josh Allen stack. We got a Dak stack. We got the bring back to Josh Allen. So let me see, make sure you can see that on the screen. Let me zoom it in a little bit so while we have a break here so that you can see the best ball overlay correlations here. So as you can see, Josh Allen is in green, Dak Prescott is in yellow. And then, sorry, thank you for bearing with me. And then the bringbacks will be underlined. So Gibbs, there's a bringback to Buffalo week 15. And then Garrett Wilson, obviously, bring back to Buffalo week 17. It'll be underlined if it's the bringback. And then scrolling through other receivers. And then if it's in parentheses if it is a stack. So green parentheses with Khalil Shakir and yellow parentheses with Jake Ferguson, which is stacked. Okay, we'll go back over to the board here. And well, I'm happy with that. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, and this is again what by us taking 2 running backs early, yes. Our running back's going to be thinner, and we might very well consider doing 6 running backs to still make up for it. But we at least have 2 guys we know we can really rely on. So if those 2 stay healthy, we're still in a really good spot.
Right.
Because we have 2 elite quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah, we did pay for 2 elite quarterbacks in the top 10. So yeah, we as far as receiver pacing, we did the 3x6, 4x7, and then we ended up getting 5x10. So yeah, our build is a 2-2-5-1. I know you and I prefer, obviously, in a perfect world, a 1-3-5-1, but we just saw an opportunity to have the 2 elite quarterbacks. And maybe this is, we're both big 3 quarterback drafters. Maybe this time we don't do 3rd quarterback, or, if there's something that falls in the 18th round, and we feel very, very strong about the rest of our team, especially obviously we're both running back and receiver, then we can make a decision then. But we haven't pressured ourselves, and we have 2 stacks that have 2 of the quarterbacks that we're highest on this season, quite honestly.
And getting Ferguson, we could go 2 tight ends,
Definitely. Yeah, I'm totally fine doing 2 tight ends with Ferguson. Yeah. If you wanted to do like a quarterback did fall, we could just do like a 2-6, 8-2 or 2-6-7-3, or you could do like a 3-6-7-2 or something like that. So I think the bottom line is we have options. While we usually like to start 1-3-5-1, starting 2-2-5-1, I still think we have a lot of options.
So can you take a look at running backs?
I know we need to take it. So let me just take a look. We're up at 131, 134. Eckler, who I love, sometimes falls. He did not.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Either Chase Brown or Eckler would fall back.
But we've got correlation here.
Elliott and Ford.
Yep.
And then Chubb and Dowdle.
Let me catch up here. And then, so Elliott just went. Ford. I mean, how do you feel? I usually like when Chubb's my 4th, but I wouldn't hate it if we went Ford, Chubb. You could, actually, that's something I've been thinking about lately. What do you, I'm going to actually mess around with doing some handcuff in the same room when you get them late. Okay. We'll talk about that later, because it went Elliott, Ford, Dowdle, who we all had queued up. Are you comfortable taking Nick Chubb here?
Do Chubb, yeah.
And then I have
Chandler.
I have other ones I like too. Yeah. Okay. So our running back buys are 5, 10, 10. So no more week 10. So take out the no Lloyd. Let's go Chandler. Rob.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So just while we break, and then I'll put the board back up through, 12 rounds. We have 2, 4, 5, 1. So feel pretty good about that. Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, both stacked. Gibbs, Jacobs, Nick Chubb, Ty Chandler. I mean, I still feel pretty good about that. I know Nick Chubb, obviously I feel better when I get him, as my fourth, but still feels pretty damn good. Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, DeAndre Hopkins, Cortland Sutton, Khalil Shakir, Jake Ferguson, both stacked with our quarterbacks. So bring back to Allen. Let me pull the board back over. We'll be back up at 155 and 158. So yeah, as you can see, there went a massive running back run leading up to our pick because we were interested in all of Eckler, Elliott, Ford, Dowdle. We took Chubb and Chandler. Yeah. Still fine with that. I like Lloyd too, but we had to make a decision. You can't have 3 week 12, 10 buys. At least we're not going to do that. I have to ask you this. This is something I also want to experiment. I've been experimenting more with hyper fragile builds during this time of year. Again, I'll probably lean more into like the later running backs and 0 RB and that more in August and especially late August, but leaning more into like taking advantage of these running backs falling and doing some hyper fragile builds or different build structures. What do you think? I've been giving more thought to these running backs that go mid to late in the same room. What do you think? And now in the case of Ford and Chubb, now that Chubb's rising, they're going so close. But what do you think about that? I'm not a proponent for like the early and the late because if one of the top running backs get injured, that team's donezo, if they're out for the season. So I don't really see the point in that. But I do kind of see the point in these backfields where, especially that just have a good running back environment. Cleveland has one of the top offensive lines, stuff like that. I don't know. So I wouldn't do it with like a Gibbs Montgomery because I think if Gibbs gets hurt for the season, you're done. You're not looking good. Yeah. But in these situations like Washington, that's a little different because I think a lot could be vultured from Jaden Daniels. But Cleveland, Dallas, there's just Green Bay to Steelers. Steelers is the biggest one. Yeah. Cincinnati. I mean, Steelers, Cincinnati. Thank you. There's a lot that go in this middle range. I want to start experimenting with that. And that's why I threw it out there quickly. It didn't happen anyways. What do you think before we get to our pick?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I do think you have to be smart with it. Like in the scenario, like you don't, you probably want it to be a 6 running back build, just in case. You also want to make sure you're not overexposed to a bye because, even in a case where we're taking a backup, let's say Ty Chandler is just tremendously behind Aaron Jones this year and never gets a real starting role. At least during bye weeks, we know he's going to get like 4 to 6 points, he'll fill in. But if he's got the same bye weeks as all our other guys, then that we're just taking a stone zero. So, you just want to make sure you do it smartly with at least 6 running backs, the bye weeks, not being too overwhelmed.
Yeah, then you couldn't do 2, another one of the bye week or 2 of the bye weeks.
I mean, like if you're doing 6 running backs, you can have 3 of the same bye week, but you have to worry about the overexposure of it for sure. Yeah.
Well, I kind of think I'm going to start experimenting with more of these like handcuff, but like more just of these running back rooms that go in the mid rounds. Like you said, Steelers, Browns, Washington to a certain extent. What were the other ones really quick, Steve? Steelers, Browns, Washington.
Bengals. Yeah.
There was another one. Dallas.
Yeah. And after our picks, I'll make another point on
Okay. Oh, yeah. We're going to be up in 1. So or with 2 picks. So 2, 4, 5, 1. I hate this.
I like doing Hunter Henry and just being done at tight end.
I like that. I'm fine with that. I mean, I have 20%, but I don't care.
Yeah, but I mean, he's just so safe. I mean, he needs to stay healthy, but
Yeah, of course, if he stays healthy. I mean, but he could be, one of the top target in that offense. Yeah. Okay, so I like that. I think Ferguson, Hunter, Henry, you can be done at tight end. So, okay, I love Chubb or Hubbard here. Yeah. My 18% says so too. What do you think about that pick? Because this is just not a range of receivers.
Yeah.
That
I mean, the only one I would have taken would be Adam Thielen. But yeah.
Okay. Let's go Chubba, same team. Do you think there's some undervalued Panthers for sure?
Well, and honestly, Hubbard's a great guy to pair with Nick Chubb.
Oh my God, yeah, you're right, because you're likely getting more of the beginning half, where you're likely hoping that Chubb's going to come through with the back half. And as you can see, hopefully you can see on the screen, Dallas week 15 correlation. Hey, you gotta make it through in a BBM. Still got to make it through 1 of 13. So I like having some correlation when it comes naturally, Yeah. Okay. So through 14, 4 picks to go, 2, 5, 5, 2. Couldn't be more balanced. I do think getting Hubbard, Steve, I actually would be fine with 5 if you wanted to, but
I think we should still take a 6.
I don't know. I feel like we might need an 8th receiver. I mean, Shakir, I am not counting. I only feel comfortable with 4 of our receivers. Sure. Garrett Wilson, Pickens, Hopkins, love it. Sutton, not on a good offense, but wide receiver 1, undervalued. Yeah. Shakir, come on. The Buffalo receiver room, we can say we think we know, but it's like the MTV. I'm just dating myself. I used to watch MTV Diary in the 90s. You think you know, but we have no idea. We don't know who's going to be like his go-to target.
And I kind of like the idea of doing a 2-6-8-2 with this build, just 2 quarterbacks.
Hey, yeah. The one of the probably 2% of my drafts that have 2 quarterbacks. It's pretty feels good with a Dak. Allen build. So
easily could be 2 of the top 5 quarterbacks. So
100% was last year.
Basically when Dak's healthy, because obviously
it does make me nervous. Me, I'm skeptical. One skeptical check.
Yeah.
But it does make me nervous with Allen being like the running quarterback. He has stayed healthy thus far, but like it's the whole thing. Like, what if he gets popped for even just like 4 weeks?
Well, and Dak, when you went to the BBM finals, he missed 5 games, and he had
he missed 6 that year, counting the game he got out.
Yeah.
But
I'm kind of like 5 full games.
Yeah.
And
we barely got any points at first. He certainly didn't hit my roster that first.
Yeah, but that was late in the second half. He was just awful that week.
He was bad. It was bad. He essentially was not viable for me the first 6 weeks. So I got that in the back of my head too. We could see what value we feel like is there in the last round. Is it a quarterback? Is a receiver? We know we're fine at 2 tight ends. I'm fine going either way there. I have to say, I feel fairly fine with our running back room. Let me just look at it one more time, because there's only 1 bye overlap, and it's Gibbs, Jacobs, Chubb, Chandler, Hubbard. I guess the concern is the whole Nick Chubb. When is he going to be viable? Thing.
Yeah, and it's just you and I are both higher in Hubbard, and I do think Jonathan Brooks is gonna take some time. It could be 3 weeks, it could be 5 weeks, maybe it's 10 weeks. We just don't know, and so you could be running a good chunk of that year without. Remember, Roman Wilson's the one guy that you have on every Josh.
Oh, son of a bitch! Yeah, he was falling. He keeps falling.
Maybe go Malachi Corley.
I like Roman Wilson better though. Well, then we're doing 8 receivers, because I don't like. Malachi Corley could be like the 5th target in that offense.
Right now, Roman Wilson is running as behind Van Jefferson. So.
Steve, please. Van Jefferson is so dusty. Stop. Stop. You tried to do that. I don't care what the athletic report and what they're going to say in August is Roman Wilson is wide receiver 2. That is horrible. Don't embarrass the family. You did that dusty Van Jefferson stuff last year, and we're not doing it again. Okay. Let me just make sure there's no running backs now. Fine. Do you want Corley or do you want? I mean, I only have 3% Wandale. Do you think the following Wandale is of any interest? I mean, I like to take players on better teams, so.
Yeah, I'd do Corley.
Okay. Do we allow week 12 buys? We have 2.
Just Garrett Wilson and Shakir.
All right.
I think
this needs to be an 8 receiver build because these receivers aren't cute. I just all right. So all right, let's see. I mean, I say screw it. I don't care.
Well, I say ignore ADP and I'd say take Darius Slayton, like take an actual starting receiver.
No, Steve, you can get him the next time we come back. He's 202. I'm not reaching for Darius Slayton.
Okay.
All right. Well, here, do you want to get our 6th running back now? Do you like any of these guys?
I mean, I like Irving or Braylon Allen.
I mean, I'd almost. What do you feel about Jalen McMillan? We're a disaster right now. What do you think about Jalen McMillan?
I mean, I just don't know if he'll be the number 3 on that team or not. It's him or Palmer.
Because I'd rather like a CEH as our last thing.
Okay. Then go Jalen McMillan.
Oh my God, our receiver room sucks. So I know a lot of. a lot of people in the best ball space love McMillan. So this is the issue. This kind of area is a dead zone for me. I mean, there's Well, honestly, that's why I still like late tight end builds because I can hammer tight ends that I love here. Just go ahead.
I agree. Or
3 quarterbacks. Yeah, exactly.
Because just going. Can you go back to the board real quick?
Yeah, sure.
When you look at where Demarcus Robinson went, the other receivers here are Luke McCaffrey. I mean, he might be lucky to get 60 targets this year. Malachi Corley, could be better just because it's likely a better offense. Roman Wilson, maybe
he's going to be the wide receiver too.
but there's just
unless Ayuk got traded there, that's the only reason he wouldn't be. There's just so much unknown, and the same with these running backs. It's like Antonio Gibson, Elijah Mitchell, Braylon Allen, Roshan Johnson, Bucky Irving, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, I don't feel great about
any. Slayton just went. That's why I actually prefer guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Slayton. And I will typically read.
So you would, if you're not doing the whole tight end or 3rd wide receiver in this area, because some of the ones like Chig and Jonnu and the guys I like, Levis, the Aaron Rodgers the round before, which is crazy. The Aaron Rodgers went 172. My God. If we're not doing that in this area, you're saying you're fine just reaching on guys that you feel have more projectable targets or volume.
More projectable targets. And especially it's like for the build, like, we have some concerns about.
Yeah, Shakir. I got a little rookie happy there.
Yeah. So it's like a guy like Slayton he gets every year he's healthy, he gets 700 plus yards with.
I thought he could have come back to us, but I was wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong.
And same with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like he's targeted to go around the low 200s, but I'd much rather.
There's a big run on running backs.
Yeah, I'd much rather have the number 2 back for the Chiefs than the number 3 back for the Bears or the number 3 back for.
This is a tough scene.
Yeah, it's ugly.
This is not going well.
I mean, and the other reason I will say is, I will say for getting an 8th receiver, there are still going to be options. I mean, Odell still goes late. You can
get Tolbert on the team. On
Tolbert, you can always take a.
Oh, damn! I love Dameon Pierce as a.
To further correlate with Gibbs,
Did you hear the reports that Dameon Pierce was kind of playing banged up last year? Maybe that's why he stunk so bad.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he just did not fit into that offense.
Yeah, well, maybe a second year. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, we're coming back. So we're going 1 receiver, 1 running back. So running backs, I say Tank.
Yeah, Tank or Madison would make the most sense.
Okay. I don't think either have correlation, and that's fine.
Yeah, go Tank.
Okay. We're up in 2, and I mean, it would literally either be I'm fine with Tyler Boyd just to give some floor or
Tolbert. I'd do Tolbert.
Yeah, Tolbert for correlation. So as you can see, he's parentheses. As you can see, I have 16% over it because I take him in DAX stacks, Philly stacks, and just late when I need a late tight end receiver, because I just think he's the third receiver in a high volume passing offense, and which, I mean, Boyd could be too, but with attached to one of the top quarterbacks. So
yeah.
Well, this is unique for us, Steve. A two quarterback build. We do not typically do that, but you know what? That's what this show is about, is kind of experimenting different builds and seeing if we can still feel comfortable and land the plane. And I think we did as the draft's finishing up. As the draft's finishing up, I'll put the board up and then we can talk about our team. But, I was going to say it would have kind of been tempting just for like pure upside, or like if Drake May would have fallen, but he didn't. He went one pick before. But yeah, I just think mainly my bad decisions at some receiver. And I know a lot of people like earlier in the draft process, I like Corley. Now I'm just a little nervous, like how he's going to fit in there and how much impact he'll make year one. I know a lot of people like McMillan. Hopefully he is the third receiver. So yeah, I think 2682 did make sense for this build, but there wasn't really any quarterbacks available. As you can see, the last quarterback taken here is Gardner Minshew in the last round.
Yeah.
So is Russ going earlier, or did he?
Russ did not go actually.
Actually, no, there are still quarterbacks. There's Bryce Young, Bo Nix, and Russ as far as like starting quarterbacks. So it's a little hard for me. Bo Nix goes to the 2 spot. What did the 1 spot do? Okay, they got Justin Herbert. I was just curious. Let me refresh to make sure it's seeing this one, because I think this is BBM5 number 33 for me. Let's pull it up and let's check out our team. Okay. Oh, I just chatted with Anya Huckleberry on Twitter today. I think I just followed him on Twitter today. First time watching. Good job. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, because we do 4 live drafts every week at the minimum. Probably going to start doing any more. Probably going to start doing also some fun other ones of the other types of contests, eliminator, weekly winner. We've done a few of them, but eliminator, weekly winner, sprint, all the other good things. But 4 live drafts a week, usually 2 strategy shows a week, and plenty of content on fanspeak.com. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. What's that?
Using the 5th spot.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's look at his team first. There we go. Put in the chat, are you from the Pittsburgh area? I see a 412. I know that's the Pittsburgh area code because I went to Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and our families, extended families from outside of Pittsburgh. So I'm your Huckleberry 412 from the 5th spot, 2682. He did another 2 quarterbacks that you got to love when you're doing a 2 quarterback build, and that's Patrick Mahomes and Brock Purdy. Can't get much better than that. That's right up there with ours. I love that. Brock, I've done that the few times I've done 2 quarterbacks. The other one I like doing it with. That's the other one that you can do 2 quarterbacks that I feel like cozy with. So Mahomes, Purdy, then Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, Kendry Miller, Tyler Algier, CEH, Damian Pierce. He's the one that got Damian Pierce. I like that. And CEH. Both the guys we talked about. Jamar Chase, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Hollywood Brown, Jerry Jeudy, Demario Douglas, Arvin Mims, Malik Washington, George Kittle, and David Njoku. Yeah. I mean, you got 2 of my favorite guys from the receiver documentary. So I give extra points for that. By the way, you finished it too, right, Steve?
Yeah.
I just tweeted, like, did anybody else have like best ball flashbacks or like DFS flashbacks or same game parlay flashbacks? I was having like all these flashbacks, like, oh, I hit a same game parlay on that. Oh my God, the Detroit week 15, I was sweating out that. Like, I was like a nut. So anyways, I mean, I like this. I mean, you're definitely kind of had to go volume on running back since you're kind of anchored by Ramondre, but you did it the right way and you got 6. Yeah. And I mean, it's very strong receiver room, obviously correlated with Hollywood Brown, and Kittle as the main stacks. But as you can see with the underlines, he's got bringbacks at multiple spots. What were you going to say, Steve?
Well, I was going to say he did very similar to us, like 4 stronger receivers and then like 4 guys with upside, I mean,
right. Yeah, Pop
Guys
Douglas,
like
Mims, yeah, Malik Washington, yeah, and then he kind of got the two like that middle tier of tight ends. Love that.
He went a little higher at tight end than we did. Like we went
Right.
higher at running back, he went higher at tight end, but
Right.
very similar build concept. Yeah,
very similar build concept. Yeah, no. I'm Huckleberry. Huckleberry. I love it. Thank you again for joining us, and we love your team. Let's try to go 1-2 in this draft and get out of the pod together. I don't believe any of our other friends are in here, so let's check out our team again, Steve. From the 11 spot, 2682. Again, we talked about it from the jump. Use code Fanspeak on bestballoverlay.com. 33% off, just $20 a month with code Fanspeak. We were able to see, obviously we see the overlay, you see all the correlations. But what I love is I pulled up the optimizer, portfolio optimizer. And what that allowed me to do is I take a lot of Garrett Wilson. So took Garrett Wilson with our first pick at number 11. What do I want to do with him? Well, I take a lot of Drake London. How much, elite quarterback did I have? How much Gibbs? I only had 12% Gibbs. So we took Gibbs. How much Gibbs and Garrett Wilson and Josh Allen do we have? I didn't have any, even though I had like 15% Josh Allen with my Garrett Wilson, because that obviously is a run back to week 17. I didn't have any with those three to start. So let's start it that way. So that helped make those decisions. And I love that. It allowed us to help kind of diversify and get some different combos, which is especially important at the turns. But yeah, we don't typically do two quarterbacks. We really love the 3 quarterback build for various reasons, but these are two, just like Huckleberry's team, where you can do 2 with Allen, Dak Prescott, obviously Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, Ty Chandler, Chubba Hubbard, Tank Bigsby, Garrett Wilson, George Pickens, DeAndre Hopkins, Cortland Sutton, Khalil Shakir, Malachi Corley, which added to the week 17 correlation, obviously, and Jets team correlation. Jalen McMillan, Tolbert added to our Dak stack, Jake Ferguson, Dak stack, and Hunter Henry. And there's definitely some run backs. We got a week 16 Buffalo with Henry. We've got week 16 Dallas with McMillan. We've got obviously the week 17 with Jets and Buffalo. I think I saw one other one.
Gibbs is a week 15 with
Gibbs is week 15 with Buffalo, and Hubbard is week 15 with Dallas. So definitely got some other correlations kind of mixed in and bringbacks. But no, I do think this was appropriate to do a 2682, and that's different for us, and I like it. What are your thoughts, Steve? And then we can get out of here.
Well, one point to make, and just one thing that like the best ball overlay shows you, and you just said it, and you just compared the first 3 we took Pickens ahead of Allen, but essentially 3 of the first 4 players.
Right.
And that made this team unique out of
my portfolio,
out of almost 100 teams that were loaded in there, and that's the thing. You look at your percentages, and only Gibbs and McMillan are under 10%, and yet this is still a unique build, and that just goes to show you that you might think like, oh, I'm drafting the same guys. You might be, but you're still making unique builds, and that's what you want to. Because it could just be the tweak of, taking a Gibbs versus the Drake London, and everything else, like all these other guys are roughly the same, and that's the difference. Just those types of things, and that's what Best Ball Portfolio does. It lets you really check those combos of 2, 3, 4 guys. Be like, how many times do I have them together? And I just find that interesting, because when you're playing at a higher volume, especially in a big tournament like this, a big massive prize pool, you want to see that. And that's how you make sure you're having some unique builds. So
it was honestly a big weakness it was a hole in my game last year, and it's something I'm trying to watch, is the combinations and just mixing those combinations, like you said. So, and what's great about it, Steve, is not only can you do it with what we did, okay, here's the first 2 I'm drafting, or here's the first 2 with an anchor quarterback, an elite quarterback. It's not just that. You can say like, okay, Dak CD is one of our favorite like quarterback stacks that we're attempting to get a lot of. Or maybe it's Herbert, Ladd, McConkey a little later, or maybe it's even like a value stack that I absolutely love, like Levis and one of his receivers. And you can see, okay, who am I putting with these stacks the most? Because if these are my favorite stacks, I don't want to have like the one, I think it was Dak CD, and I've said this on a couple shows, I have like 30 or 40% Kyron. Now, once I have more drafts, that'll thin out, but it's like, okay, well then pump the brakes on Kyron Williams in your Dak CD stacks, because if he goes down, I don't want him to crap all over my beautiful Dak CD stack, those kind of things. So it's just, that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be cautious of, especially with like in August, I want to, honestly be balancing out all my exposures in the portfolios of the guys I love or want to like back down a little on. And then I want to like really make a list of like players, anchors, stacks that I'm the highest on. And it's like, okay, if this is what I'm writing about, this is what I'm talking about, this is what I believe in, then I want my portfolio to back it up. And I want it to back it up also in a way with not just what I drafted, but the combinations too.
Yeah.
And Huckleberry is a great week 17 question. And it's a great question because it was the last pick of our draft.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I'll do in August. So I wasn't comfortable yet. I feel better about Tank Bigsby as an RB2 than I do about Shipley as an RB2 at this point. Now we get into August. And so for that reason, I'm right now, this part of draft season, I'm just ranked like kind of more focused on, I kind of structure and the way I feel about my, like each room is more important to me than the week 17 bring back in that particular scenario. But really in general, week 17 is like, I do pay attention to it. Obviously we incorporate a lot of playoff correlation in this draft. And I do definitely pay attention to it, but I don't overdo it if I don't feel comfortable yet. And I don't feel comfortable yet on Shipley, but come mid-August, maybe I do feel comfortable on Shipley. Yes, I'd have to pay a little higher price, but that's when I am clicking it for the week 17 correlation. I hope that makes sense and answers your question, Huckleberry, but it's a very good question. And then we have our guy Spread in chat. He just did he and Tyler did a DraftKings show yesterday. Check that out. They do a DraftKings show every Tuesday, so be sure to check that out. But no, Steve, I'm happy with this team. Any final thoughts? Then we'll head on out of here.
Yeah, and we're a little thinner with running back and receiver, but that's why we did 6 and 8 of those. But yeah, if our quarterbacks and tight ends stay healthy, I think the team has a lot of upside.
Okay, well, I hope that Huckleberry and M. Schaub are the ones that get out of this this draft. As you can see on the ticker, bestballoverlay.com, use code Fanspeak for $10 off per month for just $20 a month. Highly recommend it. I'm absolutely loving it. And be sure to check out the show tomorrow night, 6 or 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Justin and I, my show Friends of Best Ball, 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Jim Waller, winner of the Pitbull, and I, Friends of Best Ball on Friday. So be sure to check that all out. This has been fun. Thank you so much. For Steve, I'm Meg, and we'll see you next time.